You've got the Nike Premier 2, the Tiempo Legend 8, the Mercurial Vapor 13, the Mercurial Vapor 13 with ankle support, the Phantom GT, and the Phantom GT DF. I included the Premier because I think it's a really solid football boot, but here on the table in front of me is Nike's current top-end lineup, likely for the remainder of 2020. And it's quite a different lineup than what Nike had at the start of 2020 because the Phantom GT, for those that don't know, takes the place of both the Phantom Venom as well as the Phantom Vision 2, effectively reducing Nike's main lineup to just 3 different lines. But of course, the Mercurial and the Phantom GT have a mid and low cut option, which is why there's technically 5 boots here plus the Premiers. And from a marketing perspective, it's quite a different direction for Nike to go into as well, as you have the Premier as your old school or traditional option. You have the Tiempo as your option for somebody who'd like something old school but also doesn't want to miss out on tech. You have your option for people that like to do a lot of step overs, and you now have an option for people with wide feet that also like to do a lot of step overs. Effectively breaking up Nike's current lineup into 2 separate categories: thin sock boots and boots with leather. What I plan on doing in this video is objectively ranking Nike's current lineup of top-end football boots from worst to best, comparing them to each other, of course, and hopefully helping you determine which of these options is best for you if you're looking for a pair of top-end Nike football boots in mid to late 2020. Keep in mind that these are just my own personal opinions. Feel free to leave your own opinions and rankings down below in the comment section. And as always, if you're interested in any of these boots for yourself, there will be links to the review pages on my website down below in the description, where you'll be able to pick up any of these boots below their normal retail prices. Also, if you guys do end up enjoying this one and perhaps would like to see more football boot ranking videos, don't forget to support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The Nike Premier 2 is objectively the worst performing football boot from Nike's current top-end models. However, it is by no stretch of the imagination a bad pair of football boots. So the first thing that needs to be noted about the Premier 2 is the retail price. These retail for $110, less than half the price of any of the other football boots that I'll be talking about in this video. So from a value for money perspective, this would be your best option. It features a majority kangaroo leather upper, and the quality of the leather, considering the price, is top notch. You can't go wrong with it. They're super comfortable on feet. Once the leather has had some time to break in and form to your feet, the fit of this boot is fantastic. It's very traditional in terms of its construction, with a central lacing system, a regular tongue, and then this fold over flap as kind of a callback to classic Tiempo models. Again, because it is mostly just soft kangaroo leather, the objective performance in terms of responsiveness, as well as even just outright traction, isn't exactly up to the same standard as a lot of modern football boots, but it's also not trying to be. The sole plate and stud pattern is super flexible and honestly just gets the job done. It's nice and simple. And if you're just looking for exactly that, a simple pair of football boots for not a lot of money, the Nike Premier 2 is definitely a solid option. And for those that are looking to try a pair of leather football boots for the first time but don't want to spend a lot of money, the Nike Premier 2 should be near the top of your list. I would love nothing more than to rank the Tiempo higher on my list, but unfortunately I just can't do that, because while I think the Tiempo Legend 8 Elite is objectively a very good football boot in terms of certain performance characteristics, I think that the leather aspect of this boot definitely suffers because of how much tech has been incorporated underneath the top layer of leather that you see on the outside. I would actually go as far as to say that in terms of just purity of the leather touch, I'd actually prefer the touch of the Premier over the Tiempo. However, from a tech standpoint and also a comfort standpoint, the Legend 8 Elite is extremely impressive. It features a kangaroo leather upper that has this totally unnecessary kind of diamond embossed texture to it that you do not feel whatsoever. In fact, it kind of stretches out and smooths out the surface once you actually have the boots on feet and have worn them a little bit. The laces still run down the middle, but instead of a traditional tongue, it's filled in with an elasticated fly knit material that also wraps the medial side of your foot for some reason. Doesn't really add much in terms of structure or responsiveness. I guess it hugs your foot a little bit more closely, but it adds an extra layer of material that is totally unnecessary. And that is also attached directly to an internal quad fit system, which is something that we originally saw introduced on the Phantom Vision. It has made its way onto the Tiempo, and that's really what's providing the majority of the structure in terms of lockdown and responsiveness from this boot, because the kangaroo leather is just left super soft. It doesn't have much structure to it, but with the laces tied tight, they really have this nice locked in feel. Of course, being a top end model from Nike, it does feature ACC technology, a standard low cut design, and the sole plate end stud pattern is a direct carryover from the Tiempo Legend 7. So not much new there. Overall, a very good performer. They're also a lot lighter than you might expect. And in terms of Nike's main top-end models, I would make the argument that the Tiempo is the most comfortable. Certainly, if you prefer a little bit more of a padded feel, some extra protection, the Tiempo would be your best option. And again, I don't want to say that this is a bad pair of football boots, but it wouldn't really be my top pick if I was looking for a football boot in this particular category. The Nike Phantom GT is an excellent pair of football boots. Despite having a very different marketing spin from that of the Mercurial, these are very Mercurial-esque in terms of their physical elements. Now, the upper is made from a single layer of thin Flyknit that I would argue, in comparison to the Mercurial, feels a little bit more pliable. There's less structure to it, which is noticeable in the overall responsiveness, in that this is just not as responsive or as tight-fitting as a pair of Mercs are. And a lot of that has to do with the off-centered lacing system, which does leave you with a cleaner surface to strike the ball, but it also makes the boots significantly wider. So if you've always been a big fan of the feel of Mercurials but needed a wider fit for your wider feet, that's exactly what's on offer here with the Phantom GT. The twist over a pair of Mercurials, despite the wider fit and lack of responsiveness, is the addition of texturing, specifically generative texture. That's what the GT stands for, and you find that scattered across the entirety of the upper, providing a bunch of additional grip when making contact with the ball. And it's not so much a sticky type of grip, because it's not really a sticky type of upper, but when you drag your foot along the ball, especially when dribbling, that additional grip is very noticeable. It is available as a mid as well as a low. The low cut version is definitely my preference, one, because it's $25 cheaper, and two, I find that it actually looks much better as a low cut boot. You can pay the extra 25 bucks for the DF version, but I think it's a little bit uglier, and there's really no benefit here. I know some people just like the feel of a collar, and it gives them this sense of security, even though it's not actually meant to do that. And some people also like the collar because it keeps the rubber pellets from getting inside of the boots if you regularly play on artificial grass. If there's an extra value to the collar for you, then by all means pay the extra 25 bucks. Otherwise, I would save the money and go for the low. And then as far as the outsole is concerned, it is somewhat of a split sole construction. Again, kind of a variation of what's found on the Mercurials, but slightly less aggressive as far as the traction pattern is concerned, and slightly more flexible, which I actually really like. It also does not have an anatomic sole plate. And then finally, the boots do of course feature Nike's ACC technology, as you'll find on all of Nike's top-end boots. As a whole, really, really solid, but the main way you should look at the Phantom GT is a wider fitting variation of the Mercurial that's not quite as responsive and not quite as aggressive. Which brings us to the top spot, which is quite comfortably held by the Mercurials. Both the Superfly 7 and the Vapor 13 Elites are fantastic football boots, and in terms of just objective performance, there are very few flaws with either of these. What you're going to find with the Mercurial is a thin Flyknit upper reinforced by something called high tenacity yarns, which you can't really see, but it's basically a reinforced type of yarn within the knitting of the Flyknit itself that adds a ton of structure that when the laces are tied tight, it does a remarkable job of keeping your foot very locked in and secure on top of the sole plate, which really gives you this one-to-one super responsive connection that the Mercurial series has always been known for, but this arguably does it better than any Mercurial before it, plus makes for a very comfortable fit. This is arguably the most comfortable, super tight-fitting Mercurial Nike has ever made, so very impressive in that regard. Obviously a super thin touch on the ball because it is a relatively thin upper. And then of course you have the Vapor Superfly debate. Two different names, but exactly the same boot. The Vapor is a low, the Superfly is a mid. Just like the Phantom GT situation, you pay an extra 25 bucks for what is a lower and lower collar with every new generation of Superfly. Again, if you see the value in the collar, by all means go for the Superfly, spend the extra money. Otherwise, I would save the 25 bucks and go for the Vapor. Fit in the heel is identical on both, by the way. Same thing goes for the Phantom GT. And then as far as the sole plate and stud pattern is concerned, one of the highlight features of the Mercurial is the anatomically shaped sole plate, which basically means that your foot slits directly inside of the sole plate because it has a little bit of contour to it rather than sitting on a flat surface like a normal sole plate would have. This gives you a very connected sensation to the boot. And then of course the FG stud pattern is top notch. The most aggressive stud pattern currently on the market. If you're looking for as much bite as possible when accelerating and changing direction, nothing really beats this. And those are my somewhat unsurprising rankings, and I think the reason why they're so unsurprising is because Nike's current lineup isn't exactly diverse. You have thin Flyknit boots and you have leather boots, and I think more than ever before, there's probably one boot in Nike's lineup that you're going to like better than all the rest for sure. Where previously I think some people might actually like 2 or 3 different models Nike has on offer, where this time around, if you're a Mercurial person, the Mercurial is the best option. If you would like to be a Mercurial person but your feet are too wide, the Phantom GT is going to be your best option. If you prefer leather boots, then definitely the Tiempo would be something to look at. And if you just want something that's no nonsense and very simple, then the Nike Premier 2 is the one that you should consider. They're all viable options in their own way, but I think more than ever, there's really only one boot that you're going to like the best. So if you know what you like, the choice should be pretty obvious. And for those that will ask what my personal favorite is from this particular lineup, I think if I had to pick a pair of boots to play in right now, I would probably pick the Phantom GT low, but my second favorite, and this might be a little bit surprising, would actually be the Nike Premier 2. Again, objectively not the most impressive pair of football boots, but super comfortable, super simple, and I'm just such a big fan of leather football boots, and like I said, I think the leather touch of the Premier 2 is actually a little bit better than the Tiempo. But those are just my opinions. Again, feel free to let me know what yours are down below in the comment section. If you have any questions, as always, regarding anything that I talked about, feel free to ask that down below. Again, if you're interested in any of these boots for yourself, links to the review pages along with exclusive coupon codes can be found down below in the description, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail prices. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.